stick around here for a bit, and I've got to go down to the county.
Appreciate it. Okay. Okay. Right.
Hey, Steve. Let's try this again. I assume we have more cards. And I believe before we start them, I believe we have a statement from the sheriff.
Okay, obviously we're just here to keep the peace. We're not here for anything else. Okay? All I'm asking is that you're going to talk about fine when you start going towards the supervisor, getting up to that. That's starting to get, everybody's heated, that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff we want to avoid. Okay? We can get that. We're good? That's all. We're just here. I got a couple people here just to make sure that it's keep it. Yes, sir. Okay? But we just, all I'm asking is, if you want to talk to us, you got it here. If don't go past the podium and start approaching them. Fair enough? Good. That's fair. Good. Thank you.
Mickey Martin.
Greetings, board. It's going to be a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. My name is Mickey Martin. I'm the author of a book called Medical Marijuana 101, patient advocate around the state, and I'm also a proponent of the patient's right, or the Patient's Access to Regulated Medical Cannabis Act that you guys are considering. Question I have is I've noticed on your agenda that you're going to consolidate the special election for June 7th, so I'm guessing you're not going to just approve my language and allow for dispensary. Is that correct? It says here you're going to consolidate it on your agenda. And I'm wondering, how did you guys come to that decision without having a consensus vote in front of the people to put it on the June election? Is that a violation of the Brown Act? Might be. Because it seems like the decision's already made, which I think is a pretty poor decision. Medical cannabis is now a state-regulated business, just like a liquor license, just like many other businesses, and it would bode well for this county to wake up and realize that with or without you, medical cannabis is going to happen in the state, and what you're creating are divisions in your community, as you saw here today. The people who oppose medical cannabis are stuck in the 1950s, I would say. There's ample evidence that medical cannabis is a good therapy for people. There's, a lot of people who depend on safe and effective natural plant-based medicines instead of pills. And did you guys know that in states that have medical cannabis laws that opiate overdoses are 25% less. 25%, think about that. And yet you guys are interested in forcing these folks to go to the drugstore, and you know they sell heroin in town, right? Right here across the street at the drugstore. It's called Oxycontin. And this is what you're pushing people towards. Rather than allowing them to grow a few plants in their backyard, they can help them with what ails them. Why? This is going to be a big business in the state, both for medical use and for adult use. And wouldn't Yuba County like to have Sierra Nevada Brewery in town? Did you ever think about that? How much money do you think they bring to Yuba County? Probably pretty chunk, huh? So it's discouraging that it seems as if you're not going to approve the ordinances before you, both the cultivation and the dispensary ordinance, and that you're going to send it to the voters. But we think we'll win. We think Prop 19 here only missed by 10%. This is a medical access bill. 90% of the country believes that patients should have access to medical cannabis. People believe in personal freedom. People believe in the right for people to have access to a safe and effective medicine. People believe in public safety. Right now you have marijuana being sold in your Walmart parking lot. Is that a great idea? Not really. So, you know, it boggles my mind that 5 elected officials would sit up here and deny the rights of your constituents access to a natural plant-based medicine. Blows my mind. I don't get it. It's cruel. It's mean-spirited. Forcing people to drive to Sacramento to access their medicine like they're some second-class citizens. It's unacceptable. Each and every one of you should be ashamed of yourself for that. And you have the opportunity today to approve 2 well-regulated initiatives, good language, there's nothing outlandish in them. It would allow for patients who can't cultivate their own to have access to dispensaries, and patients who would like to cultivate their own the right to do that in the open sun without having to pay heavy electric bills and you know, the cost to go with, you know, the ordinance that you have in place now. So I would encourage you guys to change your mind, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But you know, you guys have a large community here of people who strongly believe in medical cannabis and the right to have it. We think that, you know, come June 7th, we're going to get 51% of the people to put these on, and you guys are going to, you know, have to deal with it anyway. But, you know, if we have to spend our money on a campaign, and you guys have to spend your money on a campaign, and Buck and his folks have to spend their money on a campaign to oppose us, then that's great too. But, you know, I think you guys are making a bad decision. I'll leave it with that.
Josh Shirts.
Hello. 20 years ago, my dad was taking over 30 different pills because as a Navy SEAL, he suffered a softball-sized hole in the base of his back, and for years it would leak spinal fluid. Half of those pills were to help with the side effects of the other half. They made his mood completely unpredictable and most of the time violent without any recollection of his actions once they wore off. As a child, I suffered unimaginable abuses at the hands of a man that was supposed to be my mentor and protector. Every day he would drink a half-gallon of whiskey, take his frustrations out on me and my brother, and then pass out, forgetting ever having done anything. Not to mention the unknown drugs he would inject when he thought no one was around, trying to cope with the pills. In '96, he became one of the first cannabis patients and growers with the Open Consortium here in California. As I watched firsthand the pill counts decrease from 20 to 30 down to nothing as cannabis replaced them all. He went from a violent abuser to a calm, attentive parent. Instead of getting black eyes and bruises, I was getting home-cooked meals and family time. I met hundreds of people with various issues and pain, all that were helped with the medicine my dad grew and with the things that he made with that simple little plant. Shortly after beginning my adult life, I was in a horrible car accident because a drunk driver ran a red light and T-boned the VW Bug I was driving with my girlfriend sitting passenger. After 2 years of physical therapy and $20,000 settlement, I was forced to take 6 different medications just to have a fraction of the life I once enjoyed. I became addicted to the synthetic opiates and narcotics, and for years struggled with the side effects, including depression and an inability to enjoy life. I slowly started smoking cannabis instead of popping pills and found it to bring me much more relief and increased my general mood compared to the pills. I was in control of my life again. Cannabis allowed me to take on as little or as much as I needed, depending on the day, unlike the pills I was taking, that I either took not to be in a depressed pain or skipped altogether so that I wasn't in an autopilot type fog. The once recreational pleasure from my high school years was increasing my quality of life and decreasing the dependency on pills. I rediscovered my spiritual side, and while meditating, I was able to come to terms with my past, and I'm thankful for every time I was able to enjoy my medicine for showing me a more positive path. It has made me feel whole again. I stopped being a hermit, and I had a passion for life again. I was able to complete college and began a highly paid computer engineering degree and career. In 2005, I decided to get my cannabis card so that I was not forced to buy on the black market and to try to create different tinctures and balms that were being created. While much more expensive than the government subsidized pills, I was using my hard-earned money to keep my higher quality of life and the motivation to pursue my goals and ambitions. After being fired from my last job in 2008 due to downsizing, I was unable to find work and eventually was forced to get back on the pills because unemployment does not cover cannabis regimens. It was a daily struggle to balance my pain in the pills, and more often than not, I was not sleeping well, not eating, and it was straining all of my relationships. It wasn't until my son was born in 2010 that I again fought for my health and recognized the negative effects of these so-called medicines. Even taking as much as prescribed, I would be passed out for hours, leaving my infant son to not know what was going on. I lived in fear of my pills and opted to live in constant pain rather than not knowing what I might check out of with my responsibilities. No harm ever came to my son, but because I ensured the house was childproof, but still went into a deep depression, fearing what could have been. It was then I decided to get off the pills again and took what I had learned about cannabis and started growing for myself. This is when I had a breakthrough. The simple plant was able to make me more attentive father, husband, brother, and friend that I desperately wanted to be again. Rather than feeling too sick, antisocial, or depressed, I was happy and engaged in life. I was the partner my wife deserved, and I was the person that wanted to play and be a mentor to my son. I could focus on my responsibilities rather than being lost in pain. I was taking him to parks and going on walks. I was learning to cook healthy food and have a passion to do everything I wanted. I wasn't in danger of hurting myself or anyone else. My other medication made me numb and unaware. I wasn't able to function at the physical level I did in high school, because of my injuries, but I was able to feel alive again. I found a new purpose in my gardening hobby and started to learn how I could create customized strains to give me exactly the relief I needed. Taking care of these plants was a centering and zen moment for me that brought me an inner peace I had not known for a very long time.
Jeff Ramos.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jeff Ramos, and I'm a resident of Yuba County. I'd like to talk a little bit about history. Some decades ago, this country decided to ban alcohol, so prohibition. And the reasons were apparently valid for doing so because alcohol is involved in a lot of murders, crimes, violent crimes. But what happened backfired because prohibition doesn't work. It increased the crime rate, it increased the corruption rate in our city officials and police departments. And eventually it got so bad that the nation decided we can't deal with this, and they abolished prohibition. Prohibition doesn't work. And what is happening here with the outdoor ban, that is a form of prohibition. It's not going to work. It's not for marijuana want to move towards a more crime-free, more safe, and more secure community, let's forget about the bans. Let's allow the freedom. Thank you.
Lee Bowden.
Sir, before you speak, I only have a comment. Our agenda item is about whether or not to certify the sufficiency of the petitions and put them on the ballot, or to adopt them, or I guess something else. Those really are the two choices we have. Except for Mickey's comments, I haven't heard a lot of comments about whether we should do that or something else. This isn't a question of whether or not marijuana, medical marijuana is good or bad or indifferent, whatever. It's a question of whether or not those petitions should be placed on the ballot for the June 7th election, adopted, or something else. And so I would ask that if you have comments, that you direct those comments to whether we should do one or the other. Because otherwise your comments really don't address what we're dealing with today. Yeah.
Sure they do. Because we're protected by the 215 and 420 laws that were written to protect us from what you guys are doing. And you think you can step on our toes by doing this stuff?
Go ahead and make your comment.
You don't even understand, sir. I can't make a comment because I'm responding to what you're saying. I'm up here on the podium now. My time's ticking, so I can talk. So check it out, sir. The laws 215 and 420 was put in place to protect us completely from what you guys are doing. Now, I apologize to you all. And Mr. Andy Vasquez, you never pay attention to what people are saying. You're always looking at stuff over there. You are, and you are, and you are, and you are. Because you're not back in the California state voters. You don't understand. We voted for this. And what you guys do with this ordinance means absolutely shit. Because we are protected by 420 and 215 that was strictly placed into to protect us from this ordinance crap. And I'm letting you know, there's not a thing you can do about anybody growing outdoors, and the money you put on people is an act of treason. Crimes against the people, discrimination against us. You're going to see us strung out on opiates, oxycontins, meth. I overcame a meth addiction on my own. I used marijuana to calm it down. I killed cancer for myself. You know the people who detoxing myself by growing my own medicine. I do not trust anybody else to grow anything to put in it. I use all organic nutrients. Cow poop, bat poop, seabird water. Those are not polluting the water because they are all natural. They cut the birds shit in the ocean, the bats poop in our ground. So, what do you guys think you guys got this right? Look at Andy can't even stop looking at his papers. Why don't you pay attention to the voters, man? All of you guys, you don't even back to California voters at all. And that's a crime. That's a crime because we voted for medical cannabis and you, then you can come in and change that. We're the voters, we voted for it, and I'm telling you, you guys are nasty treasons against the voters. And that's all I gotta say to you. Marijuana is here to stay. You cannot oppose bans on outdoor grows because we are protected. 420 and 215 stipulates that we are protected to grow in California. And you need to understand that. This ordinance nothing that you're doing is a crime because you're stepping on medical patients' toes. And it is out of line, and I don't know that's discussing on you, but you are all in criminal acts. Taking that money, you need to return that to the people. Shoot, I want you to hear a video of one of your ordinance guys. Going out to, actually I won't even say it, I'll just say it. I pulled up, go around the corner from my house, one of your ordinance, or your code enforcement people, cussing out a guy living in a, has a motorhome and he's not even living here, storing on the property, cussing at him, I asked his name and he wouldn't even tell me his name. Screaming and yelling at this, and this is how you want your code enforcement people to treat people? With people. That guy was an asshole. And I would like to have him here. And if you really, I could give you the part of him not hearing my saying his name, but I don't have that, you know. What's that going to do? He's an old guy, gray hair, drove a white truck. That was way out of control. And I asked him his name, he couldn't tell me who he was. Why? Because he was wrong. He was a criminal for yelling at that guy. Like you guys are doing to us. We are voters. We voted for medical cannabis. There's not a thing your local government can do because you're not backing your voters.
Adopted.
And It don't even matter if they adopt it. We're allowed to grow. There's nothing you can do about it. So this ordinance is a waste of your time, waste of politicians or public's money, waste of showing that you guys are all criminals and that's for treason because you don't back the voters. Stealing money from medical patients, putting an ordinance in there, charging fines, that's illegal. Because we're protected by 215 and 420. So I want you to clearly understand that every one of you are on my agenda list to get arrested for acts of treason because you're not backing the California voters. And I'm going to find a way to do it. Right now, I actually, if I can, officer, I would like you to take every one of these guys under arrest for acts of treason and get some people. This is the best. On you, the county council, the county administrator are all under citizens arrest by me for crimes against the voters. Please take them under arrest as a citizen's arrest right now. I'm a citizen placing these guys under arrest for acts of treason against the people, against the voters. Please help me. You can? They're under arrest, sir. Citizen's arrest for crimes against the voters. You're not going to arrest these guys? You see this?
Make sure you put this on YouTube.
Put this on YouTube, everybody. These guys are under citizen's arrest by me, who is a voter of America who voted for medical cannabis and community penetration, to be protected from crimes against local politicians. And it's a shame that you can't even back me up, man. I'm a citizen. You can't put you guys under arrest for me.
They don't know the procedure for a citizen's arrest, I think.
Hey, slow down. You're under citizen's arrest and know that no one's doing nothing about it. You should back the people too,
You
sir.
haven't done the card.
That's why you all should be ashamed of yourself because you don't care about the people on the
Maybe
voters.
if you're done, either be quiet, sit down, or leave.
They're criminals.
There are no more comment cards in front.
You too.
Wendy Hammond. I apologize.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wendy Hanna. I'm a senior advocate, and I have lived in Yuba County for 11 years. Your ban has created more crime. Your ban has created more illegal crime. It is an outrage that you have wasted so much taxpayer money on code enforcement to only find out that the same people enforcing the law are the ones breaking the law. Ways. I pay my taxes. I don't want to see my money just wasted. I encourage you to please adopt this new initiative for people to be able to grow their medicine. Not everybody wants to be on narcotics. Not everybody wants to take Oxycontin or whatever other stuff that you have to take a pill for this and a pill for that. I think that's really unfair, and this is why all these people are so upset. You guys have created this mess. So please, I encourage you today to adopt this outdoor initiative and allow people to have their medicine. Thank you very much.
Case Michael. Oh,
If there are no more cards in the back, there are some cards up here at the front if you want to pick one up. And you want to speak.
Yeah, okay. First off, I'm extremely sick right now, so excuse my voice. In regards to all this, I'm in line with Charnel. I would like you to consider adopting these ordinances to save a lot of us a lot of time and money and stress. And I mean, everything is what it is. If we don't bullshit each other, all this comes down with the state legislation to money. That's the bottom line for the medical marijuana Safety Act. I mean, let's not fool each other. And as Mickey said, would you not like to have the heart of an extremely powerful economic tool for this county to be here in all of our laps? I have no idea why anyone would want to turn that away in light of the new state legislation. And I know many of you may not want to listen to us or consider our opinions. However, Paul Smith with the RCRC, hope you all know who the RCRC is in that committee in CSAC. Talk with him. He's been going around the state giving presentations to many Board of Supervisors, and hopefully you would take his word for it at least, if not ours. And there's a lot of concerns with some of the MMRSA stuff, but Assemblyman Woods and Bonta have both declared they're removing the March 1st deadline in order to allow counties such as ours to get on board with this new legislation. The doors are being thrown open. I have no idea why none of you would like to essentially hold our hands and walk through it. And that's two of my main issues here. One being that this trust, as you see today, trust is being lost between all of us, between you and the constituents. And if that's not enough for you right there, please consider on your own personal issues. It's now 2016, and this is most likely a huge election issue for 3 of you. If you can't consider us, at least consider that for yourselves. The Central Valley Water Board is also completely online and on board with this. They've also been giving presentations around the state, and they would love to grant us a permit and make sure everyone is using better management and best management practices. However, they will not issue Yuba County any permitting because right now there's a ban. So essentially, by having a ban, you are blocking the Central Valley Water Board's ability to regulate and control economic or environmental disasters and nightmares. So essentially, by denying them, you're saying that you don't care about the environment and you would like all these rogue, illegal growers, like all the people connected to Deputy Heath, to continue to do their thing, unchecked, unchallenged, just destroying the environment. That may not be a big issue for some of you, but for myself and anyone here that has children, that should be a huge issue, and I would like you to take that into consideration as well. Another little interesting tidbit is the new state legislation does allow for a county to enact a ban, however, it must go to a general vote. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, maybe you might want to consider, that could get messy as it goes down the line into the future. And this also, as far as trust, I'm sure you all know about the Deputy Heath situation, and that's just really think about that as far as trust. This is going to get big, and it's going to blow up huge, and the spotlight is on all of us right now. You are in the spotlight, and I encourage you all to lead. You are elected leaders. Please lead us and represent your constituents' opinions, their concerns, and their voice, and carry that through, because we are in the spot. It was all the way in England that was in the news. It's all over the news everywhere. Please realize that everyone is looking towards you right now. And once again, if that's not enough, please consider that I know 3 of you are up for re-election this year. And I would like to see some positive change. That's essentially that. I would just really like to see. I'm an eternal proponent of hope, and I hope that into the future we can all work together. I'm not quite as hardcore. I mean, I don't wish to see anyone put in jail for any reason, but I'm still open to the idea that all of you can do some good, and we can all hopefully work together to create a more desirable future.
Samuel.
Alright guys, here we are again with this marijuana cultivation bull crap. You two, I believe last time you were here, you both said that you spoke to people from our county and it was about a 50-50 split. The initiative that we got signatures for said that's a bunch of BS. Did you only talk to 4 people in your districts each? Or what? Because the signatures we gathered says otherwise. very disappointed in all 5 of you. We elected you to be our voice. You guys should go ahead and adopt both ordinances today. If you don't, there will probably be some repercussions. You 5 have really disgraced this county. We tried to work with you. Been here countless meetings. We tried and tried, and you guys won't listen to the voters. Like the last person said, 3 of you are up for re-election. I think there will be some changes made when that happens. Hope you guys are ready for that.
Vincent?
I wanted to ask if I could have one more time, because I wanted to explain my background growing up in this town.
If you would, please have a seat.
Can I just please have one more minute of my time?
No.
And the
If
card
I'm
is,
in the card, then that means I'm still eligible to talk to you.
No,
Why not
no,
just give me a couple more minutes to say something respectfully about how my family comes from the background?
primarily because you haven't spoken very respectfully so far.
Well,
So
I'm
if
gonna
you
do it
would
right
please
now.
have a seat and let someone else have a chance to speak. If you
Come on,
would please,
please.
Mr. Yuba, have a seat.
I just want to say one thing. My dad was a police officer in this county. My stepmother grew up in this county as a police officer. I would like to say that I come from a background in this community that represented it. I have freedom of speech, and I would like to share this with people because of the background that I come from.
Why are you guys so quick to arrest him?
Who's the next person?
I don't get it.
Vincent, the last name is C-A-U-C-H-I. Is the next speaker. Thank you.
Supervisors, Vincent Kalki, I live in Oregon House. 5 years ago, 5:30 in the morning, Officer Heat and his team kicked in my door and held my family at custody.
Can you bring the mic closer? We can't hear you,
I'm
sir.
sorry, is that better? What was my crime? Murder? Rape? Robbery? No, I was growing some cannabis in my backyard. Flash forward about, 2 years ago, and Mr. Fletcher, as a candidate, had a conversation with you. Yes, today came. Had about an hour conversation with you about your platform and how you would handle the cannabis laws in the county of Yuba. You didn't deceive me, you straight out lied. You have done nothing but circle that which you asked me to support. You cut Hal Stalker's legs out. And this is what's wrong with America, is politicians talking out of both sides of their mouth just to get a vote. Shame on you, sir. Is this the way you protect the families in Yuba? By letting guys like Heath run wild? We'll find out how that net encompasses everybody down the road.
That's
Is there any other comments from someone else who has not spoken?
Yeah, I put my name in.
If you would come up, sir.
There's two ways to do
Would you
things.
please state your name, please?
My name is Jonathan Reedley. I live in Loma Rica. There's two ways to do things in this country. The right way and the wrong way. There's two ways to do medical marijuana. The right way and the wrong way. This board, under the guidance of John Bassett, has chosen the wrong way. In an unflinching effort to please Buck Weckman, the loudest voice in Yuba County, though not necessarily the most intellectual one, and acting in a vacuum of self-appointed pernicious plutocracy, you have created a rule that is arbitrary, capricious, and callous to all medical marijuana patients in Yuba County. Of course, had Bassett acted responsibly, after anointing this unconstitutional diatribe, he would have steadfastly defended that law with articulate, honest dialogue instead of delay after delay, as though all he learned in law school was how to ask for a continuance. Okay? When you pen an ordinance that you perceive fair, you defend that ordinance at every front, not run from its defense. You have created an ordinance that vilifies medical marijuana users, such as myself, and promotes a culture of lawlessness in your police agencies. Officer Heath realized some time ago that the only people who could grow more marijuana crops in this county were cops and friends of cops. Further, accountability about what happens under the enforcement of this ordinance. There's no way that you can guarantee the people of Yuba County that the Heath incident is isolated. You cannot guarantee that all medical marijuana confiscated was in fact surrendered for destruction. You cannot guarantee that there weren't also other property taken and not accounted for. Why can't you make this guarantee? Because, and directly at the hand of John Bassett, who usurped the constitutional protection of due process, the patients were never given their day in court. John Bassett is a legal scholar, only if legal scholar is an oxymoron. Where is the check and balance in this? Supervisor A, you're an attorney. How could you not know this? Did you go to the same law school as Bassett, the one quite short on ethics? Finally, I question your intent. You send a medical marijuana issue to the voters only as a delay tactic, but not subdivisions with 1,000 new homes. Why is there nothing in MedPot? Why? Because there's nothing in MedPot for you.
That's right.
But you already sold out to the developers of the 1,000 new homes.
That's right.
Okay? The fix is already in. Have any of you ever viewed Dr. Sanjay Gupta's 3-part weed series? Gupta declined his nomination as Surgeon General to work against the established norms. You don't like me or anyone like me, it's only because you're not willing to listen to opposing views and to make backroom deals. I ask you to adopt without issue both of the ordinances before you because you cannot guarantee a fair landscape for medical marijuana patients in Yuba County. Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak about the question of whether or not the petition should be put on the ballot in June? Sir, if you would come on.
My name is Robert House. I'm from Oliver's. I'm just going to make this short and sweet. I believe that we should just pass the initiatives today and get it over with. Put it off, wait until June and all that, making us wait. We're going to pass it either way, so please can you just adopt it and move on? Thank you.
Anyone else? Since there are no more comments, I believe there's a first and a second as to the consent agenda. Are there any comments from any members of the board?
Yes, there was a motion.
Supervisor Nicoletti made the motion to adopt and Supervisor Fletcher seconded. That's to adopt the consent calendar.
So I want to address a couple of items. You know, we all live in a system of law and order. This process today is for the public to have access to leadership, and you were listened to. So I want to talk briefly about the soon-to-be former deputy that is not in trouble for acting like a cop. He's in trouble for acting in the cannabis world and trying to advantage himself and profit for himself. The association was not with where the laws The independent investigators have thus far found nothing associated with Yuba County or with Net 5.
The fact of the matter is, you guys went through the process to put together a petition, a ballot for the public to vote. The process was done. I actually applaud your efforts in getting that accomplished. And now it's up to the 73,000 residents of this community to vote if they want to have the same thing that you're proposing. So that's the process that has to begin. I think what you're doing then is you're putting it up for the people. And today, my sense is you're kind of fighting against the people. You want to have an election and have support, but you're battling against yourself in that process. I just think about your approach.
None of that make any sense.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
We didn't vote on your ordinance.
Not then.
Yeah, we need to vote on that.
The consent
We
agenda.
vote on your raise.
Aye.
We didn't get a vote on the budget stuff from people.
Then it will pass unanimously. And we will move on to public comment.
Joanne Wasaga.
If you would please, Donna, if you would read the public comment form.
I apologize. Any person may speak about any subject of concern provided within the jurisdiction of the board not already on today's agenda. The total amount of time allotted for receiving such public communication shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, and each individual or group will be limited to no more than 5 minutes. Prior to this time, speakers are requested to fill out a request to speak card and submit it to me, the clerk. Please note that no board action may be taken on comments under this heading, and I recall Joanna, but I have to do it as my fact. Thank you.
On a much lighter note, I'm here in regards to 4-H camp. To give you guys just a little bit of background, I don't know what year it was, but 4-H camp was owned by a family, and they gave it to the 4-H council, Southern Yuba Council. At some point, the UC system came down and said that we were not allowed to own property. So we gave it to the county to hold for us. So, and I don't think any of you guys are on the board at this point. So we go through, we upkeep it, we build it, we pour more cement, we make it more amenable to the laws of the handicap with handicap ramps and all these kinds of things. We have all of the supplies in the kitchen, we have all of this bedding, we have one of the pod containers up there. It's full of all of our stuff. And we were told by several different people that we would be involved in the transferring of this property. We were never contacted, we were never notified, nothing. It then got transferred to the Boy Scouts. Okay, fine, we kind of think that it's going to be amicable. They tell us now that it's a for-profit organization. They're going to charge us. They're planning to make money off of us. This was our 4-H camp. It was low enough for money for these kids to be able to go to this camp. So now Boy Scouts are coming along and they're going to charge us, and there's going to be a zillion kids who can't afford to go to this camp now. They won't give us a date. We have to plan. We have speakers that come in. We educate these kids during the week that they're there. We do trainings. We do all kinds of different stuff, and nothing can be planned now. And we have no say in it. We have nothing. I know that's not what your intent was. I don't think you guys had any back history, but we're in a quandary of what to do, because I know it was for the betterment of all the kids of our community, but these 4-H kids are not going to benefit by any stretch of the imagination. So, I'm at a loss of what to do.
Joanna, is it traditionally the 4th of July weekend?
No, it's normally through June 15th through the 22nd, I think was last year's date, and roughly what they were expecting this year's to be. But we were, Nancy Perkins was told that we would be contacted, and through the negotiation process with them, and we never were known of when that was, so we got a say. But there needs to be, and I believe there's a women's group that also uses the facilities. And I believe that something within the, I believe it's an escrow, and I think something needs to be put in there that either we have 2 weeks guaranteed out of it, and that goes with the escrow, so that when it's out of your guys' hands, now we have, you know, something to fall back on. A lot, not just 4-H, but these women's group also, but something needs to be done because it's not, you know, amicable.
I would feel agree with you, you know, that was told to us up front that the pre-existing relationship is your honor and that we wanted to make sure that that was part of it. Doug, you wanted to step on this? Thank you.
Good morning, Doug Clifford, Administrative Services. So we did involve 4-H when we were going through the whole negotiation process. We did the program director, we talked to her several times. She was well aware of what was going on. We've actually doctored in the agreement that they have to make the camp available to 4-H each year, just like we did for Tri-County Women's Group and for several others. We had them in the agreement that they're only charging the external scout rate, which is kind of lower than the going rate if they were rented to somebody else. So you are in the agreement. The escrow has closed. It happened on December 23rd. So transfers happen, but it is in the agreement that you're entitled to use the camp for a year.
So what would you like for me to do? Because they're telling us they're going to charge us to make a profit, and we're not allowed to use it at this point in time, and they will not give us a date. This was our camp. You gave it to these people, and they won't work with us. It was ours to be held in trust because we were not allowed in the UC system to hold it.
Well, I'd be happy to talk to them and see what, I know they were.
When they talked to you the other day when Nancy spoke with you, I believe it was you, you said there's nothing that you can do.
Well, she did speak to me the other day because we haven't had any conversations with 4-H since the transaction happened. But it is an agreement that they should be charging at a reduced rate to be using the camp. I mean, they have costs operating the camp, but they were just looking for enough to cover their costs, you know, electricity, trash.
They're telling us that we need to pack our stuff and get out.
Well, I'd be happy to talk to them on your behalf and see what was going on.
And through the chair, as far as the next step, let me get involved with you and we'll work on it. I can't do that here at the moment. I'll be glad to do it. We'll work on it.
Okay. What's our dates? I mean, we need to start planning, so.
How about this afternoon?
I can't.
We'll set a date this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. The issue I'm speaking today about will be fiscal responsibility, public safety, and public health. Your earlier agenda item, the consent agenda, actually could have allowed for a third option, and that was for the county to ask for a study on the marijuana presentations. That would have just delayed the process for 30 days. So I agree with you, run it to a little bit. But you still, still have the opportunity to ask for certain studies as a responsible county agency. The first one is fiscal responsibility. You have before you a sheet of paper that breaks down one of the promises made by those advocating for the new marijuana cultivation ordinance. One of the promises they make is that the fees generated from their ordinance will provide $1 million to the county of Yuba. Well, a fact check indicates that's not true. It's just physically impossible. If you break down their fee structure, which is so many variables, well, we did it two ways. One, the fewest amount of growers with 20 acres or better, and the lowest amount of growers with for the highest amount of growers with 1 acre or less. And you see it comes out to an exorbitant amount of people, an exorbitant amount of land. It ties up 13 square miles of Yuba County acres. for so-called growth. But really the truth in their proposition, paragraph 7.40.30 states, if and when the state of California charges processing fees for cultivation of medical marijuana, fees due to Yuba County shall be reduced by that amount paid to the state of California for the same activity and occurrence. I can guarantee you the state of California will have fees that will exceed anything that you would receive. It was mentioned tonight, though, with water resources quality, they have really high fees. So if this new marijuana cultivation ordinance that they propose is adopted or voted in, you'll be forced to process 416 if it's a large landowner's registration, or 8,333 applications and registrations, and you won't collect a dime, not a dime, zero, not just a dollar. So there is a fiscal problem with what's proposed. And I would certainly recommend that you have the Department of Community Services to look at what it would cost them to process all these applications to grow and get money. So that's a fiscal issue. Second issue I want to address is public safety. I think you should ask the Sheriff's Department for what happened if these two marijuana ordinances were adopted, and get his opinion. I think you've seen tonight, or today actually, a demonstration of the attitude that that the marijuana industry has towards being peaceful, being courteous, and being law-abiding. So I think the sheriff would have something to say to report on that. Thirdly, I think you should ask the county health officer to give an opinion on what marijuana does to the health of your community. There's really quite a few reports that indicate that extended marijuana use produces aggressive, abusive, You're seeing a demonstration of that now. So I think what you should do, in addition to sending this to a vote of the people, is ask for a report from your county services department and others on what cost it will be to the public and to this part of our budget. What it will do to our sheriff's office for public safety and the health officer on what it will do to the health of our overall community. I want to thank you for your time. You should have stayed in here for a little while to see what I was subjected to.
That's it! Time! 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 Buck Westman, if you were Pinocchio, your nose would be in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Excuse me. If you can't be somewhat respectful.
I can't be respectful to a person that doesn't respect me.
Then why don't you go somewhere else then?
I am here because I'm a citizen. Because you don't understand how disrespectful this man is to this process.
As such, and allow us to run the meeting and conduct our business.
In our eyes, you guys are all corrupt, every single one of you, until you prove different.
Well, this is not the place for you to.
That's not.
No, where do we do that?
Well,
at the Attorney General's office.
Go among your fellow voters in the county.
We are all voters.
Well, go out among them and talk to them.
Citizens arrested in the county. We're trying to rebound the stuff. You guys have letters. Crimes, man.
Intimidation letters.
What's up? You're criminals, man. This guy said have you arrested.
Have you already had the cards?
Citizens arrest for the crimes against the voters.
We're here as people trying to get you guys to see what's going on because of all these hands you guys are putting on. Okay?
Geiler, A. Geiler.
Mr. Geiler?
Key points. I'm not going to make the points up right now.
Board of Supervisors, I'm a property owner here in Yuba County. I'm not here to discuss the morality of medical marijuana use, because clearly that's not the issue. I do want to talk about something Buck Weckman's been talking about. Maybe it resonates with you, Andy, because you're a veteran. At the 2 months ago, at the last Butte County Supervisors meeting, we had several Vietnam veterans, go up and talk about how it helps their PTSD. These are guys that served our country, killed, watched their friends get killed. Buck Weckman and his wife called that malarkey.
That's right.
Like, how do you do that?
A disgrace.
How anti-American is that? It just boggles my mind. So, with that being said, economically, I feel like we should, we should adopt these ordinances, because if any of you guys have been to Colorado or Washington and seen a legal operation, they are nothing like these illegal grows. I'm not talking about like backyard grows and stuff. These are legal operations. They cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to set up. This is money for contractors, electricians, you name it, county permits. The money here is through the roof. So I really wish you guys would maybe, just see an operation in Washington, in Colorado. I could point you to different counties that are like real similar to Yuba County, farming counties that have lost revenue from, other industries crashing, and they're issuing permits, and, big money is coming in. We're talking investors, legitimate people, not, criminals and stuff. So I really encourage you guys to maybe research into legalized states, because I've been to Washington, I've been to Colorado, and it's a totally different world over there. And there's no studies that indicate crime or drunken driving or any of that is through the roof. So just please maybe look outside of Yuba County, and we can see how we can bring some of those positive changes here. Thank you.
Brooke Hilton.
I hope you don't consider anything Buck Weckman just said. He's not an authority, he's not an accountant, and he's been nothing but trouble for this community. If you're going to do anything up there, I would do an internal investigation between the collusion of Randy Fletcher and the Weckmans, if anything at all. That's not what I think it's about, but that's a bit much, I'm sorry. Madam Chair, I am sure you are aware there's quite a flux in the law enforcement communities in Yuba, Sutter, Nevada, and Butte. With the recent arrest of Agent Heath, a member of the Net 5 multi-county drug task force that serves this area here. And we all know Agent Heath was arrested in York County. We all know that he's already, within 24 hours, admitted to interstate transportation, so obviously he's singing like a canary, I would assume. Delivering over 200 pounds of marijuana, $2 million value, and other additional recent crimes alleged by Butte County. Other members of the task force include the Butte Interagency Narcotics Task Force, Marysville Police Department, Yuba City Police Department, Sutter County Sheriff's Department, Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol, and the State Bureau of Narcotics Enforcement. These are but a few published and recent instances about Agent Heath. But in the end, these instances collaborate an ongoing and continual force of repression of individual civil rights in Butte and Yuba. Specifically, those of the medical marijuana patients whose members have been focused and are the focus of this predatory behavior, where a police agency such as Net 5 charged with containing a crime are in fact eliminating competition in the county. Perhaps even taking the medical marijuana from legal medical marijuana users in the state of California and turning the very product into illegal contraband in other states, even transporting a non-narcotic Schedule I substance across state lines. Anyway, perhaps these issues and these crimes, who knows how deep this cancer runs throughout the law enforcement in Yuba County and Net 5. And my apologies to the fine, people in law enforcement too. Anyway, in any plan, there are numerous co-conspirators. The casualties dismiss the actions of Agent Heath, which has been done repeatedly by his counties. representatives who represent this, is laughable. This is not an isolated behavior, and we need to do something about this. I don't know what you folks know, but we know there's growers sitting in Pennsylvania right now talking to the U.S. attorneys generals over there. Okay? So whoever was up there, I think it was you, John, that mentioned that nothing, or maybe you, Dave, no one or nothing's been proven in this county. Well, there's lots of things pointing, folks. We didn't cause this. Yuba Patients Coalition didn't cause this. Greed and a ban caused this.
That's right.
Even more egregious than what's been going on here. And thank goodness for the California Department of Justice stepping in, even though Sutter County tried to do their own investigation and choose their own people to do it. Yeah, thank you to the DOJ in California. It is obvious that Agent Heath grew marijuana and or assisted others in growing marijuana in Butte and surrounding counties. It is strongly suggested that any Butte County agency must have been aware and turned a blind eye. If these agencies honestly didn't know, then this must be proved by the counties. Burden of proof's on you guys, not us. The facts are simple to understand. If Net 5 is a crack arm of the drug enforcement, then they didn't identify and no one on their own was the very person that charged to find them, then they're on crack. I don't get it. I've been flowing and videotaped 50 illegal flies over my property, endangering my family, okay? So we can pull up pictures of the property of that agent, his family, and other cohorts that are growing marijuana. They didn't see it. Our county is paid to provide information to the DEA every year of these things. What happened? What happened? And on a personal note, and I'm going over my time, but actually I'm a group talking up here, so you can shut me down if you want. My family, myself, have been violated by Net 5 back in March. Damage on my property, illegal trespassing. I went to the sheriff. Even had an officer told me he's going to put a 244 grade in my face. What happened to this? We got some, I don't think of the right word. I received a ridiculous investigation back from the sheriff. And since then, my children who live elsewhere have had their rights violated, their lives threatened, and one officer, which I'm waiting for counsel, my counsel to tell me about, not only didn't leave the property, he proceeded to pound at every door and every window, demanding to be let in, where a child of mine was staying with severe disabilities. So I'd like to give you all the high sign. You all got blood on your hands, and you know, everything comes out in the wash, and a lot of you in the county are going to get away with it, but a lot of you aren't. But I want an investigation with that man. That man?
Yes.
I apologize for going over.
Don't forget about the sun, too.
Thank you.
Carmel Garcia.
Good morning again. Carmel Garcia in the jurisdiction of Sutter County. I'm going to start out with this again. It's not my place to give you guys a constitutional lesson, but I'm going to give you some quotes. It is not the function of our government to keep the citizen from falling into error. It is a function of the citizen to keep the government from falling into error. U.S. Supreme Court in American Communications Association versus Dowds 339 U.S. 382 parentheses 1950. I'm going to quote from one of your forefathers. Those who trade liberty for security deserve neither.
Go Ben Franklin.
And will lose both. Benjamin Franklin. Well, well, well. Looks like Yuba County was found double dipping again. You not only get eradication money, billions of dollars, and you traded us into the feds and brought them here, which they have no jurisdiction of. We are not citizens of the District of Columbia. We are not citizens of the District of, District of the United States. Those are all entities, corporations. They have no jurisdiction here. But you traded our souls in for money, and you brought them here. And so you bring these thieves here, and what do? They take people's medicine, and they take it across lines. It's no wonder these people went across state lines into Pittsburgh. They've been monitoring each and every state when it's going to accept medical marijuana in their state. Articles came out in the Post-Gazette, December 17, December 21, December 23rd. Pittsburgh City Council advances bill that could reduce pot penalty. Pittsburgh decriminalizes pot possession. So guess where your agents were on December 29th? It was the best birthday I could ever imagine. December 29th, waking up and seeing that they got arrested for taking it across state lines. Now check this out. In one of the articles, one of the council people asserted, I think the bill gives a false sense of security to those crossing the city line. She said, the resulting confrontation, she added, could actually escalate to something much more serious than a fine. And you're saying they acted appropriately, Nicoletti? You're saying these officers acted appropriately going over state lines, taking these people's medicine, which you guys keep saying is illegal, keep saying it's illegal, yet they took it over to Pennsylvania knowing that it was about to be decriminalized, and they were going to give everybody over there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and insulate their pockets with millions of dollars extracted from this county. And you say they've done nothing wrong?
You're not paying attention.
Once again, I'm going to quote you some Latin, and then I'm going to step off. I can find it here. Give me a second. He who ratifies a bad action is considered as having ordered it. Wherever there is a wrong, there damages follow. No one is considered as committing damages unless he is doing what he has no right to do. And in regards to the Net 5, one who exercises jurisdiction out of his territory is not obeyed with impunity. We are a union. We do not belong to the United States. We do not belong to the District of Columbia. They hold no jurisdiction over us. You sold us out to the federal government, and that is still treason. And why you're not arresting them is beyond me, but I got your name. Thank you.
Lee Bauer. The final part I have, Mr. Chairman.
Leave alcohol first. You guys already know that. You know, there's many things that's going on in our country, and it makes me feel pretty shameless to be a part of this country because of these things, GMOs in the food. Homeless people living right down here at our river bottoms, and nothing is doing to help them people. Cannabis dispensary could bring so much funding to nonprofit to give them a leg up, a help out, somebody to make a business for them. Start a sewing company, how they're making linens, clothes, things like that. Give them a job. You guys sit back here and look at them living down by the river. I can't even walk down that river over the levee from my house because it smells like piss. Nicoletti's neighborhood, by the way. Doing nothing about it.
That's right.
I don't see you out in my neighborhood going down there to help them homeless folks, man. There's a child down there that I've been like, welcome to my home, me and my wife's little brother and little sister. You know, my brother and sister-in-law. They're friends with this girl. She lives down there. I gave her a place to come if she needs to take a shower, brush her teeth, clean up, Her parents are involved in things that I'm not going to discuss because it's none of my business. But she goes to school every day. She's making a life for herself, being homeless at the river. But you guys don't want to help her? You want to sit there and attack medical marijuana. You don't care about the GMOs, the TARP Act, the mercury in vaccines, the chemicals in the supply. They're polluting your land, your water. You want to talk about polluting to our water supply? Chemtrails everywhere, dropping aluminum. None of you guys step up for that, who cares? When do you really step up to make a difference for our country? For the real right reasons. You got the voters that voted for medical marijuana legal and you're sitting there attacking it. Where do you have the right? You have no shame. None of you have any shame to mess with medical marijuana. Again, it's not okay for you to do this. We are protected. We voted on it. Where do you think you guys have the right to step on our toes? You don't care about us voters. We want you to be in here. Charging fees, penalties, that's a crime. This is America built on freedom. You guys are stepping on that all over the place with these things that are going on in the state legislator's office that you're doing nothing about. My nephew was poisoned with mercury. Got autism. I don't see you care about that stuff. This is why I'm so heated. Because you guys don't do shit to help us, man. You have stepped on us every step of my whole life. I once saw an officer pull a gentleman over who had masking tape on his license plate. Went over and pulled that guy over. I was a little kid watching this happen. He walked up to that man, took some found methamphetamine in one pocket, marijuana in the other pocket, ran his name, found out he had a drawer warrant. I sat there and I watched that officer speak to this man for an hour, telling him, hey man, took the meth. Hey man, you don't like marijuana, you either go home and smoke that. When you wake up in the morning, go into a rehab, man. Get your life together. Meth is a sickness. Chemtrails is a sickness. GMOs in the foods is a sickness. Mercury in vaccines is a sickness. You guys are making these things allowed. And you sit here and you bitch about medical marijuana when you could be stepping up as a real leader of this country and doing something for the people. Helping the homeless down at the river would be a great step up to show that you guys really have some soul in you, some shame. But you're shameless, man. You don't do nothing for the country just to line your pocket. I guarantee you, somewhere along the lines, all you had a kickback from this freaking cop. I know you all did somewhere along the line. And you can say all in that 5 not involved, bullshit. This whole county is corrupt. We're all adults here, and I'm offended you guys, and I don't care that I have, because you guys have no shame to step up for what's right. For what's going on in our state capital. I've been down there talking up for our rights, for your rights about the GMOs and food that you eat. In your diner, you're cooking them. You're poisoning the people, Mary Jane. And they get sick. You can't even help stop GMOs in the food that is poisoning everyone in America. Russia won't take our food. Other countries will not accept our food because we are poisoning the people. And there's not a thing you guys are doing about it. I saw a file leaked from the Pentagon that in the flu shot, there's 3 mind control agents, which is on YouTube if you all want to check it out, that control the mind to just let you guys get away with it to do it, keep it calm, to affect what the criminal acts can be done, like chemtrails, mercury, and all that stuff. It's a docile human being. It's in the flu shot. And it's on YouTube. You should check it out. So you guys should really wake up and get some shame in your souls, man. You break my heart, man. We're trusting you to go for this stuff in this county. You're in my district and you do nothing to help them homeless. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope you can't sleep at night knowing them people down there freezing. Freezing every night, man. And you do nothing but sleep in your comfortable bed, in your little warm house. I'd rather live in this than live in your society. Because you're shameless. Yeah. Shameless people living over you. You're fighting against helping the homeless. And you all should be ashamed of yourself. Every one of you government people. And you don't do nothing about the drive-by shooting in front of my house on Christmas, 1:45 a.m. Now I'm out of here. I hope you don't sleep at night. Shameless people. Soulless government. All of you.
Hello, Board. Mickey Martin again. And I just wanted to speak to the personal freedom of the issue that we're talking about here and hopefully appeal to your guys' love of personal freedom as Americans. there's a lot of things, I guess. I'm not sure what moved you guys to ban outdoor cultivation in your county, and to not allow for people who qualify for medical cannabis to have safe and convenient access to it. A lot of it usually stems from NIMBY people in the community who, are offended by the smell of cannabis plants in their neighbor's house, or who, take issue with, the 40 years of misinformation that the drug war has provided us here about cannabis. And, a lot of people tug at your heartstrings about, drug use in the community and try to equate marijuana as a, gateway drug that, got their son hooked on crank or whatever it is, but this is still America. And, we don't set laws based on people's oppositions. I particularly don't like the smell of gardenias. I hate it. But I don't go to my neighbor's house and say that they can't grow them and try and pass an ordinance that outlaws gardenias in my county. I mean, it's a terrible plant. But, God bless the lady down the street who likes her gardenias. I can't infringe on her right to appreciate gardenias. And, I mean, what's it going to take? It's going to take for one of the people on this board to get cancer or muscular sclerosis or another disease that cannabis can help for you to come to the table and realize that, you're doing a disservice to your community and people who depend on this medicine by forcing them to travel long distances to access it or to not have the right to grow it affordably by themselves. I mean, is that really, where the realization is going to come, where you're going to have an epiphany? There's going to be a George Wallace moment on your deathbed where you say, oh, I probably should have done that. I mean, you should realistically think about it, as human beings. Put your position as a public official aside and try to find some empathy for your fellow man. I mean, that's not a lot to ask, but it's part of the human experience. These are real people. Yeah, they're passionate, and they're angry, and they're upset. They've been in here fighting over this issue month after month, year after year with you guys, trying to make you understand their plight, and yeah, they're frustrated. We're all frustrated. We've been lied to for 4 decades. From the moment Richard Nixon launched the war on drugs and started locking up 25% of the world's prison population when we only have 5% of the regular population. It's been a disaster on our community. And you guys are complicit in that. You guys are continuing that drug war mentality that these people, your neighbors, the person who works at Starbucks, your garbage man, the guy down the street who has a sick kid with epilepsy, that they're criminals, that they don't deserve to have access to safe and natural medicine because a few people have expressed their outrage and you've taken their position over another person's position. I would hope that deep down inside you are better people than that. But you would understand that, the public safety issue doesn't come with people growing plants in their backyard. The public safety issue from you guys disallowing for people to grow those plants that make them more valuable, that people want to steal them. Whereas if people had licenses and were allowed to cultivate freely and openly, there wouldn't be this issue. There wouldn't be a Mark Heath who decided, that he wanted to make his retirement funds off the back of the growers of Yuba County. The only people who you've outlawed for growing are law-abiding citizens. It's like the gun argument. Yep. If you outlaw guns, the only people who have guns are outlaws. And now look at it. The only people who have marijuana gardens are outlaws. And one of them happens to be law enforcement for this county that you guys put in place. You're an accessory to that. You're complicit in it. That's your guys' work. So think long and deep. When you go to sleep tonight, think about what happens if you wake up tomorrow with MS, or you wake up with cancer, or you wake up with epilepsy, or your kid wakes up with epilepsy.
Alzheimer's.
And where do you want them to be? Do you want them to have to go drive to Sacramento to get the medicine every day? I don't think you do. It's just
Find some humanity. That's all I'm asking of you. I appreciate your time.
Does anyone else wish to speak during our public comment period?
Do I need to fill out another card? John Schertz again. First of all, I want to say Yuba Patients Coalition requests that Net 5 be disbanded for crimes against the law by citizens of Yuba County. And I have some information here. This is not what the government has told us for the last 7 years, and thankfully people are learning more and more about it each and every day. Other countries have been researching this plant for decades, openly sharing their scientific findings. Israel is one of the many that have used this plant to cure cancer, alleviate chronic pain, including prescribing it for hospice patients. Instead of a culture of willful ignorance, it's time we advocate for natural cures over corporate-controlled drugs that are meant to make the sick dependent while making the pharmaceutical companies richer. We should advocate health care over sick care with natural cures without the chemical side effects. I challenge anyone who says anything negative about cannabis to produce unbiased, irrefutable evidence and facts to support their outlandish claims. Not the government-funded propaganda you can find at the .gov internet sites. I can show decades of medical science and studies done that prove my every point. There is no money in healthcare, only sick care, and it's up to the people to educate themselves and ask the important questions. This year alone, the federal government has spent over $15 billion in the war on cannabis, while the Department of Health Services owns the patent stating the medical benefits of this plant. Think of the millions of homeless and hungry this money would benefit. They keep it as a Schedule I drug, even though this patent specifically states that cannabis is a medicine. Why is this? I can only think that it's not the best because it's not the best interest to properly classify this plant, and therefore bigoted hypocrisy is the only course of action. To date, there is not a single death attributed to cannabis, while hundreds of thousands of Americans die every month from alcohol and tobacco. Still in this country, county, many others, people use myth and scare tactics to keep the truth hidden. Stating that it's a public nuisance because people will try to rob cannabis growers is a farce. I have grown for over 10 years myself, and neither my dad nor I have ever been robbed or had any problems whatsoever. Cannabis is not the issue here, misinformation is. If you want to protect people, stop tobacco and alcohol companies from lobbying and controlling the government to keep cannabis and hemp illegal. Keep it local, keep it safe, and you will have great prosperity and economic growth. With anything, there are bad apples. Those few that tarnish the good law-abiding citizens here are no friend of mine, and that is where I stand with the anti-cannabis crowd. No one should live in fear of their neighbor or have their civil rights violated, and I applaud striking these situations down with great prejudice. The BOS has proven time and time again that it's not what they care about. They are controlled by the almighty dollar. They repeatedly ignore petitions signed by thousands of locals and for the county interest. Local residents, while instituting a ban voted on by a couple hundred and funded by out-of-county interests. They collude with the local law to further injure patients and small growers like myself for a corporatized system of grows and dispensaries to create a money pit just for them to profit off while leaving hundreds of thousands of patients unable to afford their medicine and the insane rates charged by corporate-owned facilities. I have heard the argument that people that have been killed over their medical cannabis, and this is simply more misinformation. The people who have been in direct relation to the criminal element, the people who were killed were in direct relation to the criminal element they invited into their lives, and cannabis was not the only drug known to be used by these people. The fact is, cannabis does not create unsafe, violent people, but rather the opposite. Cannabis interacts with a highly complex system in the human body called the endocannabinoid system, making cannabis the most perfect and natural substance a person can take to cure and alleviate hundreds, if not thousands, of issues. The side effects and dosage concerns are nothing and only require 10 minutes of education, much like the consultation at the pharmacy when you get a drug you have no experience with. It is only in the last 70 years that the American government, seemingly controlled by the oil, paper, and pharmaceutical companies, have criminalized this plant
that has since the beginning of recorded history has been used by the world and not even considered a drug at all. Once you look past the small world controlled by a federally funded research, you can find actual science that shows people on cannabis are more perceptive, have higher cognitive function, and are in better health than those who use pharmaceutical drugs and or alcohol by far. But these are more socially accepted because they have not been demonized by the government. We have been told it's there to protect and inform us. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Once again, thank you. I didn't plan on speaking again, but when Mr. Weckman started talking about numbers, I couldn't help myself because numbers are purely objective, unlike the subjective opinions of human beings can usually tend to be. I always see discrepancies in the numbers in the media. It seems to me the numbers are twisted in the favor of the arguments being proposed at the time. I could swear I remember the Appeal Democrat, Sheriff DeFur, being quoted as saying that there could possibly be up to 5,000 larger cultivation sites in this county. Then Mr. Weckman wants to try to cite 413 for his math to try to make this $1 million mark. I mean, no, who has the crystal ball here? Does anyone know exactly how much money will come in? Obviously not. However, when the sheriff is saying 5,000, I would take his word over 413 from Mr. Weckman, who is not a patient, he's not a gardener, he's not a contractor, and he's not a real estate agent. So you want to start talking about financial investigation into this matter? Let's take a look at the trickle-down effect in this community. We have amendments, soils, compost, heavy equipment rentals. Why don't you all go down to Twin Cities and ask them how much of their equipment rental they think is being used for gardening? I can guarantee it's more than half, a great majority of that. All the irrigation supplies. Furthermore, I mean, people need help. It's bringing in local help, you know, to help establish infrastructure. If only it was allowed to be done so by all of you. I'm sure the attorneys up here right now probably understand the difference between a permit and a license. A permit being only used, the money's brought in from a permit is to be used to counter the cost of enforcement. An actual license, the monies can be used for positive net gain by the county. Is that correct? Yes? Just a little nod, kind of, sort of, in the general gray area ballpark. Okay. So, the current cultivation ordinance that's put forth is a great start. We have till 2018 to maybe even try to get into something that can provide licensing, and at the very least can adopt the state minimal licensing structure recommended in the MMRSA. And I would like to see a proper, real committee formed in this county so all of you can work with all of us to try to create a better, beneficial future for all of us, because clearly, as you can see right now today, this issue isn't just going to go away. I mean, this whole oppositional resistance thing going on is not beneficial for anybody. So if a proper committee was formed and we can actually communicate and talk with each other and work towards something positive and beneficial to the future, by 2018, like, once again, I really like the Sierra Nevada Brewery model. We could be the seat of a great new economical force. I mean, California is the world's 8th largest economical force in the world. Why not continue to be, and why not have Yuba County at the seat of that? Right. I mean, think of the trickle down. We could have all sorts of tourist-style bed and breakfast. I mean, I went to the bounce back presentation for the Republican committee, and to tell you the truth, that was, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but it just seemed almost insane to me. We want to have this bounce back economical situation, but we're trying to turn away the the largest thing that could do that right now, sitting in our laps. And furthermore, I would also like to just touch on, when we want to talk about finances as well, is property taxes in the foothills. Right now, just drive down the Port Road and look at all the real estate signs for sale. Property prices are plummeting. I'm thinking about taking out a loan and buying up a bunch of cheap property out there right now, just as an investment maybe. But if that happens, if all these properties are sold at a lesser value and then purchased at a lesser value, then there will be less property taxes for the county. That makes absolutely no sense to me, once again, as far as finances are concerned. If these properties had greater value because we solicited people who would like to establish a legitimate and legal infrastructure, the property values would go up, they'd be purchased for higher, and there'd be much greater property taxes brought into the county. This is not a one-dimensional issue like Mr. Weckman would like to have you think. This is a multifaceted gem of glorious opportunity. Thank you.
My name's Tony. I reside in Yuba County. I've been here for 15 years. And I just wanted to make a comment about the issue of safety related to marijuana. In my neighborhood, probably the majority of people up there grow marijuana. And my safety has never been threatened by any of my neighbors. My safety has only been threatened by law enforcement. I want to relay an incident to you where I met Christopher Heath one morning, who was at my front gate and wanted access through my property to get to one of my neighbors. And I told him that I would see if my neighbor was around. He wasn't around. He gave me his name and phone number and asked me to have my neighbor call him. Well, less than 2 weeks later, Mr. Heath showed up with his cohorts, came through my property, went to another neighbor's property. He has a warrant in hand for one of these properties that have access through my property. Rousted those people, my neighbors up, rousted those people out of bed at gunpoint, handcuffed them, and interrogated them. They did so until they realized they had the wrong place, and then proceeded down the road to execute their search warrant at the right place. Now, can you imagine you and your family being woken up in the early morning at the end of an AR-15, and your kids, and being interrogated by these guys accusing you of things? Let me tell you what the sheriff said to these people. They asked him, "Are you growing any marijuana? How much are you growing?" And they said, 36 plants. He says, "Are you selling to the clubs?" And they said, "No, we're not selling to the clubs." And he said, quote, "Good, keep doing what you're doing," and then left. There's something wrong here. That's an unintended consequence of this ban, I would say. I don't appreciate the behavior of law enforcement in my neighborhood, and that probably is not welcome there as far as I'm concerned. And I just wanted you to know this. I'm sure you haven't heard this before.
Then with that, we'll move on to our next item, which is correspondence.
Item A is a letter from the Renew Financial advising participants in the California First Property Assessed Clean Energy Program that they've expanded to include seismic improvements and electrical vehicle charging infrastructure. Item B is 7 notices from the California Fish and Game Commission regarding regulatory action and endangered species. That's all the correspondence we have.
Okay, with that, we'll accept correspondence and start with board and staff members. And John?
I would just ask that we've had a very busy run with our homeless committee, or ad hoc committee thus far, and hopefully we can reinstate that for the year coming. We have a lot of work still in front of us that we'd like to get to. Also, I want to thank the board for the support letter for Habitat for Humanity. It's going to be a great program. I appreciate the fast response on the support letter. Thank you.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for your work with the homeless. I know you've done a lot, especially in the last year. The ad hoc committee you're talking about was you and Mary Jane?
Right.
Or you and Andy? And so if the board has no objections, establish that and reform that?
Sure.
All right, with the same member, I assume. The only comment I have is that last Friday I had a meeting with the Sierra Sacramento Valley EMS. One of the most outstanding, I guess, aspects of the meeting was that they are at, I think it's 79% their unfunded pension liability, and they're trying to get to 85%. That, and then last I would just ask the board to adjourn today in honor of Arnica McDonald. She was a former Wheaton resident, was a long-time secretary at the Wheaton High School. With that, Robert, you have anything? And Jeff? Donna? Then we will move on to closed session. It's a personnel pursuant to government code section 54957, subsection B1. It's for public employment and our ag commissioner. Improvement and threat litigation pursuant to government code section 5495609, subsection B4. Are there any comments about either one? Seeing none, we will recess to.
Do you want to do the committee item first before you go into closed session?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we'll do the committee thing of human services before closed session.
Are they here? That's what I was just going to ask. I don't know if they're still here. Okay. Thank you.